Good evening from Southeast Asia. This will be episode or podcast or broadcast or volume or installment or something. Number 259 of the new versions of the alienanalprobe.com podcast, broadcast, volume, episode, whatever they are. Recordings, okay? Videos, videocast. Shit. Okay. All tapes are copyright 2023 by stockphotosworldwide.com. Now, we got to correct at least one thing, probably more, but one thing. In a tape or two or three ago, I cracked a bunch of jokes about throwing chocolate treats to dogs. Now, when I was growing up, it was not known, it was not even remotely suspected that chocolate was bad for doggies. The truth of the matter is we fed them chocolate for their whole lives, and they lived to be old, elderly, fat, and happy. We never, we never saw a single deleterious effect. Okay, but it can kill them, and we figured that out. Well, I mean, I don't know when veterinary science figured that out. Probably 1929. I don't know, but the general public was really slow to catch on to that. I wasn't aware of it until mid-90s, probably. I had to do a proofread of a, strange as it sounds, I had to do a proofread of a veterinarian dog book. And that was mentioned in there, and I got a hold of the author and said, "What the F? We've been feeding them all of our excess chocolate for decades and decades." She said, no, you fucking moron. Fool. Some dogs, some kinds of chocolate can kill them one bite. So anyway, I made jokes about it a tape or two or three ago. I don't remember the context. Whatever. I just want to correct. Say, don't do it. You know, even though we never saw, I don't know how many dogs we had, like 200 or something. I don't know. When I was growing up, and never saw a single bad effect. But it can. It can. I don't know if maybe it affects certain breeds more than other breeds. I don't know. We had, Huskies and German Shepherds and stuff like that. I don't know. It probably would depend also on the amount that they ate proportionate to their body weight. Ours were huge dogs, big fat, hardly run, mostly from eating chocolate. Okay, anyway, don't feed them chocolate, for Christ's sake. Just don't do it. Sorry. Okay, now, the previous tape to this, the number is not sequential to this, but the previous recording to this was a paid promo thing, was a joke. Fake, as it were. Fake. False. Okay. It is so labeled on the link that goes to it on our website. But some people don't read the links they click, I guess. And so I'm getting these comments about, man, that was really weird. Oh, that poor woman. Well, fucking hell. The woman existed, and that happened to her. The frog spawn thing happened to her. It really did. It really did. We can't positively say aliens did it, but something slathered the living Jesus out of her with frog spawn after she said it raped her. Okay, that part's all, as true as any report can be. After that, we just ran off the rails and made up this promotional thing for this company. So, anyway, Jesus Christ, read the fucking link before you click it, whatever. Okay. Okay, now, before we get to the aliens, we're going to talk about aliens. Okay, let me lay the groundwork here really quickly. We have a giant collection that started out 9,400 reports of alien somethings, touching, probing, feeling, whatever the hell. And we have been going through them systematically for years and trying to, separate the bullshit from the possible, remotely possible truth. And I don't know. The way we do it is we take a little, if something seems credible, we take a little pinch of sand, we drop it in the bucket. Someday maybe the bucket's full. If the bucket is ever full, then we believe in aliens. Okay, that's what we're doing here. That's it. That's our whole shtick. Okay, we're at 90% full right now after 1,400 cases. And I'm really, really, really stingy with my sand. That's what we do. Okay, so after I get done blabbing about this shit, then we're going to we're going to start going through cases. I mentioned this a couple of tapes ago, and it just keeps coming up and up and up. And even my family, they're saying, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? You're supposed to know about this shit. The media, social media, and then the quote unquote quasi-real media, if anything, any such thing exists anymore, which I don't really believe. They're going crazy. They're going crazy with UFO shit. They're going stark raving, barking, mad with UFO things. They're loony. Jesus Christ. They're just talking about all kinds of stuff. And a couple of things have prompted it. One was the Navy, the government coming forward, starting in 2017, saying, hey, those things been flying around, the video of them is real, and they ain't from Earth. Something's probably flying them, ain't human, so there you go, people. You're on your own. Okay, so that. Everybody thought that would be an immediate tsunami of panic and shit. Well, it didn't do anything at all. Didn't do anything because everybody already goddamn well knew it. And then that trickled along, and that was a kind of a building groundswell of people starting to talk about it. And in the middle of that, a number of people have come forward, a number of people who actually know. Not too many of them. But a handful of these people have come forward. And they're saying, yeah, they're real. Yeah, they're here. And then very recently, right now we're in mid-June, 2023. So very recently, we've got some whistleblowers coming forward saying, not only are they real, we got their ships and we got their bodies and we got all kinds of goddamn shit. We squeezed all the frog spawn out of them. It was fucking hideous, but we got jars and jars and jars of frog spawn. You want some? You want to hatch some frogs from space? Well, no, they're not really saying that, but they're making the rounds of all the talk shows. They don't really have anything to offer that we don't already know. They just don't. They're rehashing the same shit that we've known for 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Even more than that. 70 years or more. Maybe 80 years. They're just rehashing that shit that we all surmised and then learned to believe over our lifetimes. And all they're doing really is coming forward and saying, oh, by the way, yeah, it's all true. It's all true. And so simply by virtue of their rank and position, the media is giving new credibility to those people. And it's good. It's a good thing. It's there's nothing new. There's nothing earth-shattering. Yeah, we got alien ships. Yeah, we got the bodies. Oh, yeah, okay, next. But they're just spouting this over and over and over. They know. Some of these guys know stuff. I mean, they really, really know stuff. Stuff that you probably don't want to know. Stuff that maybe I don't want to know, although I can imagine one hell of a lot. They're skirting right up to the edge of their security clearances and maybe a teensy bit over. Just kind of daring the Black Ops to come and kill them, or something. Because they're fed up with the secrecy and the bullshit. They're saying, look, it's time. It's time. Now, and the question is whether or not that movement is going to reach critical mass and take over, steamroller over the Black Ops people and force them to admit all kinds of horrible shit. I don't believe it. If it happens, it's going to be a really slow process. And the problem is, at no time are the Black Ops people going to just stand up and say, okay, here it is. Here's everything. All they will ever do is stand up, maybe not, but maybe, stand up somewhere and say, okay, well, yeah, we got a piece of a flying saucer. Okay, now shut the fuck up. Okay, they're going to dribble out little bits and pieces like that. If they even get forced to that point, which they may not. But if they do get forced to that point, they're just going to dribble out shit. Trying to, and then they're going to say, well, that's all we know. That's, oh no, that's all we know. We no, that's it. Nothing to see here. No, go away. And they're going to hope that it goes away. Probably won't. But people keep saying, are we on the verge of a major announcement? No. We might possibly be on the verge of teeny tiny announcements. Maybe. I still give that 50-50. But we're never going to know, quote unquote, the truth, because I believe after 60 years, started in 4th grade, after 60 years of studying this stuff pretty damn diligently, I believe that, quote, unquote, the truth is something I don't have the words to define. So what I want to do is I want to say, okay, you get all these people that come in. Why won't the government tell us everything? Oh my God, they're a bunch of bastards. Well, there are a bunch of bastards, kind of, sort of, mostly, usually. There's a big thing where they think they're entitled to know all the stuff that we paid for. And the people who paid for it are not entitled to know it. Okay. Part of that is they just love secrets, and they want to feel big and powerful, and they want to keep those secrets to themselves. That's the nature of secrets, It makes them feel powerful, and it also makes them powerful. So, lost my train of thought. What the hell? Hold on. I got to go back and read some shit. Okay, and the other side of their passion for secrecy is that a lot of them, I think the ones who really know, feel like they're protecting us. I don't think there are very many of them in this group that have that much morality in their possession, in their souls. But some of them do. And they believe that kind of sort of maybe because they do know the ugly shit truth. And they know that if we knew the ugly shit truth, society very well might collapse. Okay, so they can announce, we got a piece of a, we got a piece of a thing that in Roswell, that really happened. Roswell really happened. And we got a piece of it, a couple of pieces. Okay, whatever. Okay, a wheelbarrow full. Okay, no, wait. No, there's probably a pickup load, hanging around. Okay, go like that. But it's just basically a kind of a aluminum alloy with some cool isotopes, and it's all, it's no big deal. And if they announce that, there'd be a stir, but not a very big one. They'll parse it out in little tiny pieces, over 6 months or a year. And there will be a stir, but And then they'll just say, well, that was the only one that crashed, and we only got that stuff, and we can't do anything with it, and it's not good for anything, and that's it. Okay. Or they could ramp it up, and they could admit more stuff. And then it becomes a matter of degrees. The panic in the streets becomes contingent upon the amount of shit that they release. If they were ever somehow magically forced into admitting everything, revealing everything, well, then society's fucked. We're fucked. It's going to be panic in the streets. So many people who come to me and they say, well, why won't they release this stuff? I can handle anything. Well, like the movie, no, you can't handle the truth. And I'm not sure I can either. I know I've concluded quite a few things that are pretty goddamn bad. And probably I'm just scratching the surface. So let's say they announce that they got a wheelbarrow pickup load of debris from Roswell. Okay, not going to be any big deal about that. Okay, then let's say somehow they get forced into admitting, there was one alien body, it's no big deal. We froze him. We got him on ice somewhere, Sometimes we look at the samples, he's a creepazoid from Zeta Reticuli, Okay, that would cause a bigger stir. That would be a pretty significant stir among the unwashed masses. Now, let's say for some reason, somehow they were forced to admit more. Let's say they had to admit, okay, people, it's a truth. Here's the goddamn fact. Here's the truth. People, listen. There are thousands of alien ships in our orbit. We're even far out from our orbit. Hanging around looking. They take turns coming down, and sometimes they need water, and Earth is the closest source of water, stuff like that. And they're hanging around. They're not really doing anything, just looking, studying us like we study a bug. Okay. All right, that would be a bigger stir yet. And people would be like, oh, fuck, make them stop. And they'd be coating their houses in tinfoil, and, that would kind of be the beginning of this under-rumbling of a little bit of a kind of a panicky feeling. And that might not be controllable. You're going to start getting people who stop going to work. They're going to crawl off into the forests and deserts because they think it's safe out there, and they're going to fucking die. I don't have to worry about the aliens. The bears are going to eat them. That would be on the fringes of the beginning of a breakdown of society. Now, let's say somehow, some way, they were forced to admit even more. And let's say they had no choice. They had to come out and admit this. No, there's not thousands of alien ships. There's hundreds of thousands of alien ships, and about 20, 30, 40,000 arriving from various points of deep space every day. And if you get a really good telescope, we can give you coordinates. You can see them. And they come down and they look around and they get some water, and they probe some cows and they do some shit like that. But also one of the problems is there's 180,000 races of sentient beings just in the Milky Way. And most of those guys don't even talk to each other because their cultures and languages are so fucking different that they can't even talk to each other. So those guys don't even know what the other guys are doing, you know. Might be 3, 4, 5, 8, 10,000 different races coming here, poking around. Some of them talk to each other, but most of them don't. We talk to some of them, but most of them we can't even begin to figure out, you know, how to communicate on what level, what way. But, you know, on top of that, we don't have any control over them whatsoever because, you know, 100,000 years advanced beyond us, you know. And they're coming down here, you know, pretty much 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 800 times a day. And sometimes they're really, really, really curious, and they abduct people, you know. Okay. You know, there we said it. Okay. They abduct people, you know. They don't hurt them. No. They're kindly, benevolent. They have only our best wishes at heart. But they come down and they take people big and small, young and old, and they take them somewhere and they probe them and they fuck around with them and anal probe and other kinds of probe, you know, and shit like that. And, you know, they're taking probably, I don't know, you know, maybe like 500 people a day, something like that, you know, no big deal. You look at the, 8 billion people on the earth, 500 a day, that's nothing, you know, don't worry about it. The odds of it being you are pretty goddamn small, you know. Don't worry. Just go to work, you know. Okay, that's panic time. People would panic then. Not everybody, but an awful lot. And I don't think the government could control that kind of panic. Things would begin to shut down. Industries would shut down because people wouldn't come to work anymore. They'd just be glued to TV sets, internet channels. It would be a significant beginning of total breakdown. It wouldn't be total breakdown, but it would be move in that direction. Okay. Now let's say somebody gets into a government computer somewhere, some black ops computer, and they schlep out, 100,000 documents with pictures and videos of aliens coming down, snatching people, probe them for a while, and then, dissect them. And, that's a few hundred a day. And we've agreed, not to try to intervene because what the fuck are we going to do, Shoot bows and arrows at them, Jesus fucking Christ. So we just kind of let them, but they promise us, they'll sedate you before they dissect you, you probably won't feel anything. And we don't really know what they do with the parts. They take them somewhere, or maybe they just grind you up, and spread you out over the fucking ocean or something like that. But, you're dead anyway. What the hell? It doesn't really matter. Okay. That's full-on panic. That's full-on panic stage. Hell, I'd probably panic. Let's say that they kept digging into these documents and they discovered that they're doing things far worse than that. Go Google how many people go missing globally and are never, ever found. No bodies, no nothing. Okay. People drown, often you don't find the body. They fall into a fucking volcano, you don't find the body. They wander off in the desert and the snake bites them and they die. You might not find the body for 100 years, so lots of bodies are never found and legitimately never found. But just go Google how many people go missing every year. And there's no trace ever found. Ever. Ever. The number will shock you to the core. It's kind of a changing number because the reporting is not good on it. It sort of depends on where you go. We have quite a few reports where people claim and swear that aliens have told them they have quotas of humans to get, quote unquote, get, every day or every month or whatever. True or not? I don't know. There's quite a few of those reports. Some of them seem possibly credible. So now we're into full panic mode. Almost nobody goes to work. And then they come forward and they say, well, Uncle Bob, he went missing 2 years ago, and, well, we know what happened to him. He's in a freezer somewhere in Zeta Reticuli, don't worry about him, he's gone. But he's serving the greater purpose of mankind, Okay. So let's say that they uncover documents, copious amounts of documents, that show very clearly that some races are motherfucking assholes. And they care less about us than we do about a bug. Less. And they're coming down really a lot, and there's more and more of them coming in. They snatch people and they do whatever the fuck they want. They put them in cages, they torture them, they laugh at them, they pee on them, they probe them forever and ever and ever, especially the girls. Mars attacks, they put dog heads on them and shit like that. It's Mars attacks, okay? Full Monty fucking Mars attacks. Okay, let's say that the documents uncovered that. And the government had no explanation for those documents. They just shut the fuck up and moved into their underground bunkers. So let's say that happened. Is that a truth you still want to know? Do you think that truth should be made public? What do I think? I've said this before. I think yes. If it brings society to its knees, to a standstill, I still say the truth is better. That's arguable. Lots and lots of people would argue that. And the government people who know stuff are saying, no, it's not worth the shit that would happen if people knew what was really going on. I'm not saying that any of this stuff is going on. I'm saying stuff that would shock you to your core is going on. I have tiny little glimpses and hints of it over the 60 years of research. I think a lot of aliens are really kind and benevolent, and they want to help us and shit like that. But increasingly, I am coming to the conclusion that there are plenty of them who aren't nice. Plenty. Real first-class card-carrying motherfucking assholes. Now, people wonder, well, isn't there some kind of galactic federation that protects the Earth? Jesus Christ, they can't allow this to happen. Well, there are hints that there is something like that. One organization or multiple ones or something, founded by the nice benevolent ones who believe that we shouldn't really be fucked with in any negative way. I don't know that's true. That's really reaching out there. We're way out on the edge of Neptune, to try to extrapolate that far out. A number of cases suggest that. And common sense kind of sort of, well, I don't know, I want to believe that. The thing is, what seems to be possibly the case is that those Galactic Federation things, whatever the hell they are not omnipotent. They do not have complete and total control over aliens that might be coming here. Maybe those nice federations, protective federations, are not the top dogs in the food chain. And maybe some really bad aliens come, and the Galactic Federation says, hey, wait a minute, did you get your visa? You know, you gotta take a test, you gotta agree to these rules. And the bad aliens just say, oh, fuck you. What are you gonna do? You know, our ray gun's bigger than yours, motherfucker. Possibly things like that could be going on. People want to make this argument, well, if they're so advanced that they got here, then, you know, technologically they're really, really smart, so therefore they're also morally really, really evolved. Okay. No. I used to think that too. I used to just flat out think that. Believed it totally. Look at us. Look at us. Let's say you start at about say 1900, just make it even 100 years. You look at the morality of humankind in 1900, and you look at the technological level of humanity in 1900, and then you move on up. You don't have to extrapolate. You can look at it. Look at it up to the year 2000, 100 years. Technologically, we advanced. Holy sucking hell. It's hard to even comprehend how far we've advanced. My grandmother, not great-grandmother, my grandmother lived in a covered wagon in Montana. Really? She did. Got pictures of her from back then. And so technologically, we have rocketed ahead. Have we advanced morally? Some people would say yes. I say, not by choice. I say the moral advancement we've made, if any, in the last 100 years, has been forced upon us by the possibility of exposure. So in 1900, people could do horrible fucking shit. You know, czars in Russia could kill 100 million people. You know, they could do whatever the fuck they want. Okay, now we got news and radio and internet and TV and shit, and we can expose them. And my belief is that people, human beings, in their inner heart of hearts, have not evolved really one goddamn fucking whit in 100 years. We stopped doing some of the horrible shit that we used to do, only because now people can see what we're doing. More and more. That leaves me to think possibly or probably the aliens are not necessarily evolving morally either. In fact, as some races gain more and more power and become irreproachable, it's a word, right? They just say, fuck you, we don't have to be moral anymore at all. Who's going to stop us? What are you going to do, put us on YouTube? You know, fuck you, just, you know, go away, little bug. And they just do what they want. And the Galactic Federation, or whatever the hell you might imagine it could be, powerless. Because they're 27,000 years unadvanced from the big dogs. We're kind of seeing that in the U.S. in the police department right now, law enforcement right now. The cops in the U.S. have become so incredibly powerful. They've got a billion fucking laws now that they can apply to any situation they want. And there are not enough moral people to go around to fill the ranks of law enforcement in America anymore. So their psychological requirements for new recruits has gone down and down and down documentably. And they're hiring shittier and shittier and shittier and lower and lower and lower life forms to be cops. And they've got all these laws behind them now, and nobody's really stopping them. You can't stop them. It's virtually impossible to sue them. You can complain, you can catch them doing all kinds of goddamn shit, and nothing's going to be done unless you get 50,000 people protesting and burning down a city. And even then, maybe nothing's going to be done for their really, truly heinous behavior. So law enforcement in the U.S. has gone backwards very, very dramatically over the last 100 years, and especially over the last 20 to 30 to 40. Well, how far back do you want to go? And I just, okay, we can argue that, okay, that's human nature, that's not alien nature. Well, it's physical being nature, you know. It may be a constant of the need and desire to survive, whether human or not. So, you know, we went through a number of scenarios of what if they had to release this news and this news and this news, and we ramped it up there for a while until it got pretty hideous. What if the truth is so far beyond anything I even mentioned? Do you still want to know it? And what would happen if that truth somehow got out there? Some hacker gets in there. It'd be really, really hard the way things are set up now, but let's say some hacker got in there. Have to be an inside job. And just started flooding out documents and pictures and videos and it decisively documented all the most horrible stuff that the governments know. Does that even mean that that's all the most horrible stuff? No, it only means that's just what the government knows. It could be 50 times worse than even what the government knows. It might be so bad that the government can't even imagine how much worse it is than what they know. So the point I'm trying to make is keep an open mind. I think there have been a number of reports where supposedly aliens have warned people about other aliens. Okay, and they're like, hey, if you see these aliens, they look like this and this and this, just fucking run, hide, because they're bad. They're bad news. Okay, well, if you, the aliens, know that, why don't you stop them? And the answer probably is, well, we can't. We're not technologically at their level. We can't. We're helpless. There's nothing we can do. And then we're really totally fucked. Then we're praying. That's praying time, to God or the Great Pumpkin or Buddha or whoever the fuck you want to pray to. That's just praying. It's time to pray. That's all that's left. Okay, so there you go. That's my 2 cents worth, and that's a long time on that. Okay. Now let's go look at some aliens. Let's see. I had one I cherry picked here. Here we go. Yeah, I only read the very first part of it. I don't know if it's any good or not. Location, Pennsylvania. Exact location not given. Date, April 1975, time is night. after seeing mysterious lights and desiring to contact UFOs. Oh, you fool, you fool. God damn it. The people who want to contact UFOs, I don't know. I know a few of them. And they followed some various protocols. You know, you go out in the backyard on a warm night in the lounge and, you know, hope the snakes don't bite you and shit like that. And you meditate and you do this and you do that. I don't know. The few of them that I've known who have really seriously done that they say they've gotten some kind of result. They have seen something, and sometimes it's 2 or 3, 4 people at the same time. They have seen something, you know, not aliens walking around with big old vibrating probes or anything like that. They just see lights that really seem like they shouldn't be there doing what they're doing. You know, but the problem is, you know, you go out there, you're wanting to see UFOs, you're expecting to see UFOs, you're just hoping, praying, please, please. And the subconscious really wants to please you, you know. Okay, so after seeing mysterious lights and desiring to contact UFOs, the witnesses awoke to a light-filled room and went outside. Okay, they then floated into a round and luminous UFO hovering nearby. They entered a round room and floated there without fear until several beings met them. Okay, maybe they don't have any fear because, you know, there's nothing to fear. Or maybe the aliens have, you know, sent them some telepathic message that says, "We are your friends." Okay, like that. Or it could be that the people are just fucking morons. And they got a white dove in their little gym bag, you know, just waiting to release it. I don't know. They floated there without fear until several beings met them. The beings were very nearly human, with small mouths and noses and average height, and dressed in suits with a transparent covering over the face. Huh. Like what? Cellophane face? Is it what, like a bubble on a helmet or something, or is it like a transparent covering? Why wouldn't they say a shield or a faceplate or something like that? Dressed in suits with a transparent covering over the face. Okay, these suits are interesting because some of them sort of denote that they are pressure suits like we would need on the moon. You know, there's a lot of pressure on us here, 14.7 psi, and there's no pressure on us at the moon, so you got to have a suit that keeps that pressure in so you don't, you know, essentially explode and die. So some aliens seem to be wearing suits that are pressure suits. Usually it appears as though they're keeping the pressure in, but a few of them appear as though they're keeping the pressure out. Like 14.7 psi would crush them. I mean, it would really, but it would make them sick, you know, probably die. So maybe the pressure on their planet is 5 psi, and here's 14.7, and they can't handle that. So they got to keep the pressure out. They got to exist in a much more of a vacuum inside that suit. The Michelin Man, there's lots of reports of Michelin Man looking suits, and those always struck me as ones keeping pressure out. But I don't know. I mean, it could go the other way, but I'm thinking they're keeping pressure out. Okay. Transparent cover. Oh, and the other type of suits is they don't care about the pressure. They're fine with the pressure. They just got to have a certain atmosphere mix to breathe. So they're going to have a helmet or something, you know, so that they're only breathing that stuff. But otherwise, they can have bare legs and bare arms, and it's not going to hurt them. It's just what they have to breathe. And being inside of a helmet or something like that is a hell of a lot more comfortable than, you know, breathing through scuba gear kind of a thing with a regulator stuck in your mouth, you know, and shit like that. That's terrible. As a commercial diver, you know, after I transitioned to helmets, I never wanted to scuba dive again. Never. It just seemed silly and stupid. Okay, so A female being went with one of the witnesses, and 2 male beings stayed with the male witness. Oh God, what's she going to do to me? Oh hell. Oh, I'm hopeful. The female witness followed the woman through a curved corridor. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. The female alien went with the female human. Oh, okay. Well, I could go either way. You know what the hell? LBGTQXMF. What else? B. Yeah. The female witness followed the woman through a curved corridor to an examination room with indirect lighting. Oh, lighting, not lightning. And this was reported. God, this indirect lighting. The people who have examined it closely, supposedly, while they're in there, they say every single piece, every single square centimeter of material, the floor, the ceiling, the walls, the furnishings, whatever, they put out this very low level of light. And so there's no shadows, there's no harshness, there's no bulbs. It's just, everything is just nice and evenly lit, and it's just lovely. And I wouldn't be surprised that within, let's say, 10 to 30 years, we've got some kind of materials that will do that. And that's going to be really cool. Okay. Then the woman climbed onto a table, and we know what's going to happen now, don't we? Did they duct tape her? The being scanned her with a light and projected images of her internal organs. Okay. The witness was unable to bear children and questioned the being, which moved an instrument over her reproductive area. Where exactly? And caused it to tingle. Wait. Alrighty. Straight face, come on. Fucking shit, it's great. Are we going to go Howard Stern here? Maybe. Okay. The being moved an instrument over her reproductive area, and we don't know specifically where exactly, but and caused. I can't do it. I can't do it with a straight face. I'll try. God damn it. Moved an instrument over her reproductive area and caused it to tingle. Now, what would Howard Stern do with that? God damn it. Okay, she later became pregnant and gave birth. Okay. So the whole problem all along was that she just hadn't ever been really successfully boinked. So the alien gave her a little thrill, rang the bell one time. After that, everything started to work. Jesus Christ. Okay. We go line by line here, and I sort of keep a running tally of how much sand it might get, sand of credibility as we go along. And now, here we come, we're dropping off a cliff. The being filled out paper forms, then led the witness to another room where she met the other male witness. Okay. I'm not on board. I just jumped off the train. No, I ain't buying it. No. Let's see, what was the year on this? Come on. It's 75. She wants us to believe that aliens came from Zeta Reticuli or someplace farther and, got here in 11 minutes and they got all this high-tech shit and they just fixed her goddamn ovaries by giving her an orgasm, with a little device. But then she has to fill out a report about the procedure on paper forms? No. We hardly use paper forms anymore. I don't. Everything I do is paperless now. No. I mean, the alien is going to click a couple of keys on some kind of a console, and that's going to be the record. That's it. Done. No paper forms. No. Fuck. Then she led the witness to another room where she met the other male witness. While she was away, the male witness stayed in a room and watched star images on a screen. Well, that must have been exciting. He also conversed with a man who seemed to be the captain and another who spoke from a religious standpoint, like a priest, about other dimensions, fossil fuels, and pollution. The next morning, they awoke in bed with no memory of how they returned. That's really, really common. They don't remember how they got back to their bed. And that just makes me think they never got out of the bed, something like that. They just fell asleep. They blinked for 4 hours, 3 or 4 glasses of wine, and then they fell asleep, and they dreamed this shit, and they woke up and they talked about it, and both of them wanted to please each other so much that they said, yeah, I dreamed the same thing, baby. Fucking hell. Okay, credibility or not, I don't believe it at all, really. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it 1 molecule of sand, not a grain, 1 molecule from 1 grain of sand. Hail. Okay, that was going good till I got to the paper forms. Near Wausau, Wisconsin, April 6, 1975, 0200, 2 o'clock in the morning. How long is this thing? No, not long. Okay. 2 18-year-old Utes. My cousin Vinny. Rod Seagraves and Mike Lewandowski. God, you do not put your goddamn names in there. Fucking shit, this is 1975. You're still alive, assholes. People can find you. Fuck. We're driving west on Highway A from Wausau toward Athens when their CB radio ceased to function. Oh, God, CBs were fucking the rage in 75. They were the rage. Might not have a phone. Yeah, CB. Couldn't call mom back in Pennsylvania, but you could talk to somebody 600 yards away, That was very cool. Okay, and Mike saw a UFO about 1,500 feet north of the road. Flat on the bottom and dome-shaped on top. It was on or just above the ground and shone with a pulsating silver gray light. Okay, so far so good. After about 5 minutes, they saw a 7-foot tall... What the hell is this thing? I'm going to say it verbatim just as they wrote it. After about 5 minutes, they saw a 7-foot tall T trunk, quote, in quotes, near the road, 100 feet away. I think they must mean tree trunk. Well, that would be very goddamn odd, wouldn't it, to see a tree trunk near the road? Oh, my fucking God. Call the Air Force. Why would they quote it? They spelled it T-E-E, trunk, T trunk. Maybe a T trunk really is something, but I don't know what it is. I'm thinking tree trunk. God damn it. Why can't they proofread their stuff? Okay, 100 feet away. Mike saw it move slowly, right straight out of The Hobbit, those walking tree things. I didn't really like those. I found them, unnerving. Okay, Mike saw it move slowly and then drove away westward. No, wait a minute. Come on. You see a T trunk near the road and you see it moving, and then you just drive away. Okay, in Wausau, they parked behind a restaurant and both fell asleep at 0300. Yeah, because they're so fucking doped out. God damn it. When they woke at 06:30 a.m., the car had been moved in the parking lot. Both were dirty and 1/4 tank of gasoline had been consumed. Oh, fuck. Suggesting that they had driven back to the UFO while asleep. No, I don't think so. I think they just had a night of drinking and drugging. Subsequently, Mike's intelligence level appeared lower than... Well, I don't know. How low can you go? Subsequently, Mike's intelligence level appeared lower than it had been before the sighting, and his memory was poorer. That's called pot. I've lost so many friends to pot. Their minds, not their bodies. Just over years and decades, I've watched them get stupider and stupider and stupider, and because they're just humongous pot smokers. And they can't see it. They cannot see it. They would defend to the death any notion that their IQ had dropped even 1 point. A lot of them say, yeah, they got smarter. Yeah, man. I'm not saying these guys were smoking pot. I'm just saying probably. Okay. Let's, credibility or not? Okay, that's your answer. San Juan, Puerto Rico, April 6, 1975, times 9. Disc jockey Willie Lopez, at work in the penthouse studio of the WBMJ atop the Darlington Apartments Hotel, heard 3 knocks on the window of the terrace behind his control panel. Okay. There was no way for anyone to get out to the terrace without using the door from the studio a few feet from the disc jockey, and Lopez had seen no one use it. Well, I've seen thieves go to unbelievable lengths to creep around from one balcony to another on all kinds of buildings. They might be 34 goddamn floors up. They'll take a piece of old rotten poly rope and they'll hang from their balcony and they'll swing down to your balcony, and then they'll go in and clean you out, and then they go get in the elevator and go back up to their room, you know. So this does not impress me. I mean, show me the layout, you know, and then maybe I'll think about it. But, okay, curious, he went to the window and saw outside a glowing figure that ran to hide behind one of the parapets atop the hotel structure. Nervous, he called Jose Manuel, the station manager, in the hotel. Lopez then went back to the window and saw, no more than 4 feet from the hotel tower, a luminous oval object 40 feet wide performing a slight rocking motion in the air. That's kind of interesting, because when I was younger doing this research, I would see any kind of a video of any kind of a UFO thing that was rocking even slightly, and I totally dismissed it out of hand. Dismissed. Fake. Fuck you. You know, make your video better next time. Because I believe that no UFO capable of coming here from Zeta Reticuli would be so stupidly designed as to be rocking around in the air. Okay. But now we learn that some of the very, very, very best and most well-documented cases feature UFO things that are rocking around a little or a lot. And it seems to be some weirdness in their propulsion system. So not all of them. Some of them are rock steady. Some of them rock around. Some of them really dramatically. And some of those are ones that have, 140 witnesses, and 60 of them got video and shit like that. So the fact that he's saying that it had a rocking motion, if I was going to fake a report, I sure in the hell wouldn't say that, because people associate that with fakery. I don't know. He was so stunned by its appearance, he inadvertently pulled the curtains from the window rod. Oh, that's a nice touch. He was so stunned by its appearance, he inadvertently or accidentally pulled the curtains down from the window rod. Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. I like that line. When you're really stressed and tense, your muscles do shit that you aren't necessarily aware of. I was flying an airplane one time, and I had some kind of a little engine malfunction. I landed in a field, perfectly fine, had lots of room. Not lots of room, but I had enough room. And I landed and fiddled around, and it was a spark plug wire that was giving trouble. And, once again, duct tape, saved the day. And I got it run smooth. And then I could only take off one direction into the wind. And it wasn't a very big field. It wasn't a very big field at all. And my aircraft was, reasonably hot. Not really hot, but it was okay. It performed fairly well. A little better than normal, maybe, possibly. Anyway, it didn't matter. And so I went clear back to the edge of the brush on the downwind end of the field, and ramped up the power, and then popped off the brakes and rolling. Jesus fucking Christ, the grass was kind of thick and there were some weeds and shit, and it was slowing me down, and I wasn't really getting off, and I think, oh, son of a bitch, fucking shit. And finally I did get off, but I got off kind of late. And I'm looking at 150-foot firs, a solid line of 150-foot firs right in front of me. And on each side, I couldn't turn, couldn't do anything. I had to either get over them or fly into them. That was it. That was the only choices. And I'm climbing as hard as I could climb, without stalling the damn thing. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, this is really not going all that well. Man, why am I'm not really developing all the power I should. The RPMs are down. I think, oh, fuck, not now. I put the duct tape on you, spark plug, God damn it, don't fucking fail me now. Jesus Christ. And I got to the point where I was probably not going to make it. I didn't see how I was going to make it over the trees. And just going, and I'm thinking, well, okay, what's the best approach, to mush into these trees, because this is going to be fucking ugly. And suddenly I realized my throttle was a big T-handle thing, and I had a death grip on that motherfucker, shoved to the firewall, trying to squeeze a little more power. And I suddenly realized that I was so tense that I'd been pulling back on the power ever so slightly, and I didn't know it. And the instant I realized that, I slammed it forward, took my fucking hand off it, and then easily made it up over the trees. But when you're really, really tense, your muscles in your body are just going to do shit kind of on their own sometimes. So this is a really good line that he put in there. Really, really important line. He says, going back to the control desk. Okay. He cut into the music to describe to his listening audience what had just happened. Interesting. About this time, Jose Manuel arrived at the studio. The disc jockey was in such shock that he had to be taken to the hospital and sedated. That's a good goddamn fucking line, too. So if you really wanted to research this thing, you got the names, you got the times, you got the... Oh, Puerto Rico, god damn it. No FOIA down in Puerto Rico. Well, you can't do FOIA on hospital records anyway. I was going to say you could see if he really was admitted to the hospital on that day at that time, and the reason he gave, and stuff like that. This is a really, really, really nice report. I like it really quite a lot. Okay, credibility or not? Yes. This is our last one, by the way. How much? How credible is this thing? I usually give out a grain or two, or, sometimes 5 grains of sand, and we drop it in that big old bucket, hoping someday it's going to be full. I'm really stingy. I almost never give even so much as a teaspoonful, sometimes, not very often. I'm giving this... not 150. I can't do that. I've given it 100 grains of sand. Stingy is as stingy does. Okay, and we be done. Okay, well, there we go. So, can you handle the truth? I don't know what the full truth is. I believe I have some kind of a sense of what a partial truth is. And I can extrapolate beyond that and say, well, if this seems pretty clearly to be the case, then out and beyond this level, what is it? And the farther out you try to go, the murkier your thoughts get, because you're just getting farther and farther away from those last, sort of quasi data points. I can imagine really, really a lot, but it could be that I can't even begin to imagine the truth. So, again, should we know the full, total, whole, unfettered, factual truth? Should we know that? Do we have a right to know it? Let's ask that question. Do we have a right to know it? Yes. We are the inhabitants of this planet. It's our work and sweat and fucking money out of our paychecks that's paying these black ops motherfucking stingy cocksuckers. Do we have the right to know? Yes, we do. Even if that's going to send society into a tailspin? Yes, the truth is the truth is the truth. Is it going to end society as we know it? Maybe. Then it'll start up again with a new foundation based on, quote unquote, the truth, not lies and bullshit. This is not an episode of what was that guy? Was it Jim Carrey? Fuck. Where he was, the whole TV show was made around him. He was protected from any kind of bad news or anything. Okay, we're not living that scenario. The truth is the truth, even if it's hideous beyond my comprehension. If the truth is that 100,000 alien ships are coming here every day, and they are cruising, cloaked, invisible, and they're picking up babes, and they're picking up children and babies, and they're snatching them out of their cribs in the nighttime like that fucking Grinch, and they take them up into the sky, and they torture them, and they probe them, and they dissect them, and they eat their livers, and they boil their eyes, and then they grind them up, and they spread the meat out over the ocean. Okay, if that's the truth, then that's the truth. Period. Lots and lots of people would argue that and say, well, okay, maybe that's the truth, but, let's not ruin society for the sake of the truth. I see the reasoning, I'm just tired of the lies about everything. All of our governments have been lying to us since before we were born. It's ingrained into our culture, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. You don't even know what's the truth anymore. And now we got AI coming up. I play with that a little bit. The truth is going to become impossible to recognize from anything else very, very soon. A year. We won't have any clue what the truth is. So if we get a chance at some truth, grab it. It's a little bit terrifying based on the 9,400 reports that I've gone through 3 times, and this is the 4th time. I believe that there are some real first-class, world-class fucking assholes among the alien races. Not all. I don't know what the percentage is. Well, if I base on the reports, what percentage are really, really assholes? I'm thinking 10%. Really heinous, murdering, flesh-eating, baby-stealing fucking assholes. Maybe as much as 10%. Maybe much lower. Maybe possibly 3, 4, 5%, something like that, but as much as 10%. That's not good. You know, Roy Rogers can't protect us from this shit. Wish he could. Okay. Thank you very much, and good evening. And good. This camera? This one? This one? Fuck. They all look at me when I look at them, so I don't know which one to actually go into the feed. Okay. Thank you very much, and good evening and good night.